Before Japan became a nation, it was a battlefield shaped by honor, blood, and silence. A code was born here, one that demanded loyalty beyond life itself. They were not knights, and they were not mercenaries. They were something far more dangerous. Men who lived by an unbreakable code. For them, surrender was worse than death. To fail without honor meant erasing one's own existence. Stay with me, because this story is not about war. It is about how men chose to live and die. Feudal Japan was not one country, but hundreds of fractured worlds, each ruled by power, fear, and shifting alliances. This was the Sengoku era, an age where peace was a myth. War became a way of life. A samurai was not made overnight. He was forged from childhood through discipline, pain, and silence. The sword was not just a weapon. It was the physical soul of the samurai. A samurai's life did not belong to himself. It belonged to his lord. Every morning could be his last, and every night was lived with death already accepted. Samurai were not heroes in the modern sense. They were instruments of order in a violent world. The code they followed was rarely written, but it was always understood. Later, this way of life would be called Bushido, the way of the warrior. Emotion was a weakness. Control was survival. Fear served no purpose on the battlefield. Only clarity mattered. Peasants watched them with awe and terror. To see a samurai was to feel power nearby. Their homes were modest. Luxury had no place in a disciplined life. From youth, they were taught how to die properly. Not if, but when. Silence often spoke louder than threats, and restraint was a weapon. This code did more than shape warriors. It shaped an entire civilization. Bushido did not appear overnight. It was born from centuries of war. Long before the famous names, there were endless, unnamed warriors. Every victory demanded loyalty. Every betrayal demanded blood. What kind of men choose honor over life? And why did Japan need them? To understand the samurai, we must step into their daily lives. Their story is not only written in blood, it is written in routine. Behind the steel, there were human beings. Modern myths barely scratch the surface. The truth is far more complex. Now, the battlefield fades, and daily life begins. In the continuation, we step inside the world they lived every day. This is where the samurai truly reveal themselves. A samurai's day began before sunrise. Discipline came before comfort. Even in times of peace, training never stopped. Skill faded quickly without repetition. Strength mattered, but control mattered more. The body itself was a weapon to be mastered. Their food was plain and practical. Rice, fish, and vegetables fueled the warrior's life. Hunger was not feared. It was endured like pain. Their clothing favored movement over decoration. Nothing existed without purpose. Armor reflected status, loyalty, and family ties. Each piece told a silent story. A samurai did not fight for himself. He fought for his name and those before him. Orders were not questioned. Loyalty defined existence. Feudal Japan was built on strict hierarchy. Everyone knew their place. Common people respected the samurai, but fear was never far away. Many sought balance through meditation and prayer. Stillness sharpened the mind. Death was always close. That knowledge shaped every decision. Some samurai practiced poetry and writing. The sword and the pen were not enemies. Quiet moments mattered. They prepared the spirit for chaos. Even inside the home, discipline ruled. There was no escape from the code. Boys raised as samurai learned obedience early. Play and training often looked the same. Public emotion was discouraged. Control was strength. Comradeship formed quietly. Trust was earned through action. As night fell, vigilance remained. Peace was never guaranteed. War lingered in their thoughts. Even sleep offered no escape. Routine hardened the mind. Repetition erased doubt. Sometimes the hardest task was waiting. Patience was a discipline of its own. Every peaceful day felt borrowed. Conflict always returned. The land itself seemed restless. Change was coming. Tension crept into daily life. Rumors traveled faster than messengers. Weapons were checked again. Armor was tightened. Daily routine began to fade. History was about to move. The quiet life of discipline gave way to motion, blood, and destiny. In the next chapter, restraint ends, and the age of conflict takes center stage. War did not arrive suddenly. It crept in through broken alliances and silent ambition. Clan banners rose across the land. Each one promised loyalty or death. Samurai gathered from distant provinces. Old rivals stood side by side. The moments before battle were the quietest. Each man faced himself. When the first strike came, there was no hesitation. Training took over. Battles were not elegant. They were brutal, fast, and unforgiving. Retreat meant shame, and shame was a living death. Villages burned as armies moved. Civilians paid the highest price. One battle ended, another began. War became constant. Victories brought land. Land brought power. Power shifted to those who could command loyalty. These men became warlords. Intelligence mattered as much as steel. The clever often defeated the strong. Firearms entered the battlefield, and everything began to change. Honor clashed with efficiency. The old ways were tested. Some clans rose rapidly. Their influence reshaped Japan. Stone castles became symbols of control. They dominated land and people alike. As power grew, loyalty weakened. Betrayal became common. Japan tore itself apart from within. Brother fought brother. It was in this chaos that legends emerged. Men whose names would echo forever. Japan stood on the edge of unification or collapse. Everything depended on a few individuals. Only the most ruthless and disciplined survived. Power concentrated rapidly. Old alliances dissolved. A new order began to form. Fear became a political tool. Peace was enforced through strength. Victory demanded sacrifices few could imagine. Even winners paid dearly. The era of endless war began to fade. Something new approached. The samurai now faced a different challenge: how to live without constant war. Behind the shifting tides were powerful leaders. Their decisions shaped centuries. These men would become legends and symbols of an age. To understand feudal Japan, we must meet the men who ruled it. In the next moments, the great figures step forward. This is where history takes its shape and continues. When chaos reached its peak, power began to take a human form. History no longer moved blindly. One man believed fear was stronger than tradition, and he was willing to burn the old world to build a new one. His name was Oda Nobunaga. A leader who shattered centuries of custom. He attacked temples, rivals, and tradition itself. Nothing was sacred if it stood in his way. Nobunaga ruled through fear, speed, and innovation. Mercy was rare. Japan changed rapidly under his campaigns. Old powers collapsed. After him, another figure rose from obscurity, a man of patience and adaptation. His name was Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Born a peasant, he climbed to the highest seat of power. Hideyoshi sought unity, not endless war. But unity required force. He froze society in place. Classes were fixed. Weapons were restricted. For a moment, Japan breathed. But peace built on power is never permanent. Watching silently was a man who valued patience above all. He waited while others rushed. His name was Tokugawa Ieyasu. He understood that time itself was a weapon. While rivals fought, he prepared. While others burned, he endured. Eventually, patience met opportunity. The final struggle arrived. One battlefield would decide Japan's future. Sekigahara. Thousands marched toward destiny. Few understood what would follow. Victory crowned Tokugawa Ieyasu. Japan finally stood unified. The Tokugawa shogunate was born, and with it, a new era. Peace returned, but it was tightly controlled. The samurai became administrators. Many warriors would never see battle again. Their purpose began to blur. Bushido shifted from survival to philosophy. Honor was no longer proven through combat. It was lived daily. The land stabilized, but freedom narrowed. For over 200 years, Japan avoided major war, an unprecedented calm. But outside Japan, the world was changing rapidly. Isolation could not last forever. The samurai age had reached its peak, and decline had already begun. Their influence would outlive their era in values, discipline, and myth. Japan stood at the edge of a new age. The old code prepared to face its greatest test. In the final moments ahead, we witness what remained and what the samurai left behind. The outside world finally reached Japan's shores, and isolation shattered. Modern weapons made swords obsolete. Centuries of tradition faced extinction. The Meiji Restoration dismantled the old order. The samurai lost their status overnight. Men trained for war were told to stand down. Many never recovered. Some refused to surrender their way of life. They chose one final stand. The age of the samurai ended not with honor, but with progress. Contrary to myth, Bushido was formalized long after most wars had ended. Samurai were allowed to kill commoners for severe disrespect. Samurai were paid in rice, not coins. Wealth was measured in sustenance. Many samurai were highly literate. Education was a weapon of power. Samurai never wore horned helmets in real combat. Seppuku was not impulsive. It followed strict ceremonial rules. Some women were trained to fight and defend clans. They were called onna-bugeisha. During long peace, many samurai never saw battle. The topknot hairstyle symbolized discipline and status. In peace, samurai often served as administrators and law enforcers. Bushido changed with time. It was never a single fixed rulebook. Western ideas reshaped Japan faster than expected. Resistance was futile. Much of what we know today is romanticized. Reality was harsher. The samurai left more than battles. They left discipline, loyalty, and restraint. Their spirit never vanished. It transformed. Samurai ideals shaped films, stories, and global imagination. Their story is not just Japanese, it is human. Honor today means responsibility, not violence. History never disappears. It waits to be remembered. The samurai are gone, but their choices still echo. In silence, their legacy endures. Unseen, but present. Thank you for staying with me until the end. This film was crafted with care and shared with you sincerely. Your presence keeps this journey alive. Together, we continue rebuilding the past, one story at a time. You deserve stories that matter. Thank you for being here.